and welcome to yet another episode of Taco Tech Tip Tuesdays. Today we're going to talk about 800 plus horsepower Subarus. I know that's what everybody likes. And what you can do with a little tiny turbo on an engine that flows. Make sure that you like this video and give it the old thumbs up if you like it, and if you don't like it, give it a thumbs down and then get off my channel. Hit the bell notification so that you can be up to date with all my videos, or just check back every Tuesday, usually pretty late, but hopefully I'll get them up a little bit sooner. So what happens when you put all the perfect parts on a car? You end up with some crazy horsepower. So this is actually a 62-66 turbo, which is honestly not my favorite turbo in the world, because I feel like the 64-66 is just better in every way. But that being said, this turbo with all the right parts can put out some serious chooch. Hey Zach, what'd you just say? That needs a what and it won't pop up?
I said this right here needs a worm drive and then it won't pop up.
Yeah?
Yeah. Those T-bolts are shit.
Oh, we're gonna get a thumbs down on this video.
You got a good crusher on the beat.
We're gonna try that again without this too much expensive stuff in here to throw it. Hands off. Well, that's all she wrote for a 62 millimeter. That's I think that's now the highest horsepower 62 millimeter Subaru I've done. Let's come over to the dyno graph here. I had to clean it up a little bit. It was a little dirty on some of those earlier pulls, but we cleaned her up, got the boost nice and flat. 821 horse, 679 foot-pounds of torque. I actually took a little torque out of it because it was spiking pretty hard. There's no sense in spiking this turbo beyond 40 pounds, you know, so I'm now hitting just barely 41.4, and by red line we're still just shy of 40, 39, somewhere in there. Peak power, we're at 39.44, so should be pretty healthy. Air fuel's fairly rich, so it's definitely on the safe side of the air fuel ratio. That's because this is a street car. We're not really absolutely trying to get every last horsepower out of it, but 40 pounds of boost, that's not a small number by any means. There's a lot of custom fab on this, custom charge pipes. Started out as an ETS kit, but then when you start adding all kinds of crazy stuff, there's a lot of modification required. We had a little bit of issues, as you saw, with the pipe bursting, or not bursting, but popping off. So the first issue we had, there was a T-bolt clamp here, and on these throttle bodies, the flange isn't wide enough for these wide T-bolt clamps that come in all the automotive kits. And so the little lip on the throttle body, when you use a wide T-bolt clamp, the clamp itself goes over the lip, and I can show you that here in just 1 second. But when the clamp is over the lip, it's not positively locking the coupler onto the throttle body. And then the pull after that, which was the fun one where the pipe totally ejected. If you watch, and hopefully I'll be able to zoom in and show you this, it slid out down here first, and then once that came off, it pulled the whole thing, and then it did pop off of up here. But I don't have a problem with these clamps, even at 40, 45, clear up to 50 pounds of boost when everything is set up right. So anyway, we got this all tightened and all sorted out. So there you have it, process West intake manifold. This is kind of a hybrid block. It's a not a traditional hybrid, but it's an IAG closed deck with pinning and O-ringed heads. It's not their like traditional fire ring setup, so it's not like their stage 4 extreme, but it's kind of similar. It's just a concoction of a few different things, but what that gets you is a final result that's pretty potent. One thing I really like, this ETS intake, it's got a vibrant velocity stack on the vibrant big filter, which is awesome because normally when these filters have a velocity stack inside them, it's not proportionally correct to the diameter of the flow of the inside. So this is a 4-inch pipe, and you'll see like a 4-inch filter with velocity stack, as it's quoted, will have like a little 1/2-inch velocity stack on the inside. And there's actually a lot of math that goes into making these velocity stacks work correctly in order to get optimum flow into the pipe. And these vibrant ones are using all of that correct geometry in order to get maximum flow. So it's a really good part, especially when you're trying to make maximum boost out of a little tiny turbo. I know it's a big turbo, but what we're doing with this turbo, it's tiny for the power. Anyway, let's see. Oh, down here, can't really see it. Got the really nice Injector Dynamics fuel filter. That's a really awesome filter. Strongly recommend people run that if you can fit it. It's the only downside, it's kind of big. Air motive fuel pressure regulator, IAG fuel rails, billet TGVs, the whole 9 yards. This car actually has Kelford cams. It's not our typical GSC stage 3s that we run in most builds like this. This was just what the customer had on his previous build, I believe. So that's what we're running. Anyway, custom catch can. There's a lot of power to be made in catch cans, a lot more than people realize. When you start getting the PCV breathing correctly, it's all free power. Anyway, that's what I've got for this video for you. So I'm gonna go grab that throttle body and show you that real quick, and then we'll be done. So here's the throttle body here, and this is what I was talking about with the clamp. Now look at the width of the clamp on the edge of the throttle body, and you'll notice that even if I have the clamp butted all the way up against that little stop right there, there's no meat on the throttle body on this side, which means that when the coupler is over it, basically the entire clamp is going to be sitting over the edge of this lip. And because it's going to be sitting over the edge of that lip, there's really nothing other than the clamp's tension pushing down on the lip itself to keep the coupler from sliding off, which means that the only spot where you're actually clamping is this little tiny 1/8 of an inch there, instead of all of that surface. So with the skinnier clamp, this happens to be a worm drive clamp. Now, if you could find a T-bolt that was this width, that would probably work better, but they're not readily available, so there you go. But you can see that this clamp, when I'm on the edge there, I've got a good amount of meat on both sides of the clamp, because the clamp's in the middle, and then this hump is fully on the outside, meaning that the coupler itself would have to go down, over, up, and around to pull off of the throttle body. So this clamp with way less tension on it is actually going to clamp better than this clamp with a whole bunch of tension, that even to the point where you can start deforming the throttle body or the intercooler pipes and causing damage. So as you saw in this video, the effects of 40 pounds of boost on a clamp that doesn't hold is pretty wild. If the hood had been shut on that second catastrophic release, it very likely would have damaged the hood. So just keep that in mind. Brand new, nice Cybon carbon fiber hood. Take a pipe, boom, right through it. And the final thing, and hopefully you'll be able to see it on this video, I've got it close enough. See how there's a coupler on both sides of the clamp, and you can see the clamp is actually lower than the silicone, so there's protrusion on both sides. That's how you really know that it's tight in there and that it's exactly how you want to see it. So that whole lip is on this side, and there's still room on this side, so the silicone has to go, like I'd said, down, over, up, and over in order to pull out, because the force is pulling that way, as you saw. So that's it for this video. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the sounds of 820 horsepower spooling on the dyno. This is the highest horsepower 62 millimeter Subaru that I've done. It could, like always, potentially do a little bit more if I really wanted to push it, but we're seeing the turbo really starting to overspin. It really wants to fall off at high RPM, and you can actually hear it in the note of the turbo compressor. You can hear it start to load down, and that's, you know, how you end up with compressor failure, overspinning, bearing failure in the turbo, stuff like that, which we don't want to see. Would this car benefit from a bigger turbo? Absolutely. A 64 millimeter would make the same power, probably at less boost, and be a lot happier about it with a lot lower compressor speed, so a lot lower, you know, rotational speed of the turbo, which means it's going to last longer and produce less heat. Really, I'd love to see like a 6870 on this car. It'd probably spool about the same and make about another 100 horsepower, 920, 930, maybe 950, potentially 1,000. This car is flowing like crazy. Go even bigger, you know, 70, 75, something like that. We'd be well over 1,000 on this setup. So, you know, room to grow for the customer. Getting up over 1,000, we'd have to do some fuel system stuff probably, but more fuel system stuff. It's got a lot of fuel system stuff done to it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like I said, make sure you subscribe, and we'll get you more of these videos every week.